Now at 11, millions across the country joined in a single message to the Trump administration: hands off.
People have been afraid and intimidated for a long time, and it's time to speak up.
Plus, concerns are raised as the administration shutters a program designed to help low-income Americans with education.
They're not going to be thinking, oh, does my child know the alphabet?
And later we hear from Oregonians preparing to advocate for Ukraine on Capitol Hill.
One of our central messages is there is no freedom until Ukraine is free.
Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. Our top story: all 50 states saw demonstrations with millions of people denouncing the actions of the Trump administration. Crowds could be seen across major cities like Washington, D.C., Chicago, Atlanta, and Boston.
No power like the power of the people, and the power of the people won't stop.
Thousands of people joined in on the rallies in Western Washington, in Seattle, Everett, and Tacoma. Demonstrators say they want to make sure their message is loud and clear.
We're saying hands off Social Security, hands off Medicare, hands off public education, hands off our healthcare system.
Traffic was shut down in downtown Portland, the largest of several of these rallies that took place across the metro. What appeared to be thousands of people marched across the waterfront, calling out the issues they see with the Trump administration and DOJ. The Portland Police Bureau says there was an arrest of one woman who vandalized a Portland Fire and Rescue brush unit. She also had a warrant out for her arrest. Overall, police say participants were very collaborative and let them know the march route to ensure safety. Our Celine Stevens went to several of today's rallies and spoke to people who say they were marching for democracy.
Hey, hey! Hands off our rights, hands off our Social Security, on and on and on. I could go on forever.
Trump and Musk have got to go!
Hands-off protests took over the country Saturday, with crowds of hundreds and even thousands of people showing up at some locations, including Portland.
Woo! Right now, the democracy in our country is going off the cliff, and we're trying to hold on to it.
The crowd so big, parts of NATO Parkway had to be shut down due to people flooding the streets.
Fight back!
I think it's absolutely great. Absolutely great that people are fed up with it enough to come out in numbers like this.
Hey!
The protests popping up in multiple cities in Oregon, like Tigard. Protesters telling me their grievances with the Trump administration.
Cutting back on aid for either foreign countries or right here in our own country. Cutting back on Medicaid and any help to the poor. Also stopping the DEI.
Talk of tariffs also coming up following the president's speech Wednesday about reciprocal tariffs being placed on other countries in an effort to make America wealthy again, according to the president.
For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So
That's ridiculous because the tariffs will just be passed on to us. And that's the problem. Things are always passed on to us. You know, people that are rich, they don't care.
Vancouver also saw some action, protesters expressing anger over recent federal cutbacks thanks to the Trump administration, as well as DOJ led by Elon Musk. Some of these cutbacks affecting Veterans Affairs, the Social Security Administration, and more.
I just went on Social Security. It's a great system. I think we're at a turning point. You're either going to fund this stuff or you're going to have half these people, probably myself included, we're going to be living in tents on the street.
Some calling the current environment a travesty.
I think it's a disaster. Way too much going on. Some of the people that have been put into office have no business being there.
Protesters telling me the impacts affecting a range of agencies and people.
I am a scientist. I work on HIV, and this is impacting my work. People are getting laid off. Grants are getting defunded. It's just shocking that what the government is doing.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
The White House Assistant Press Secretary said in an email today that Trump will always protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for eligible beneficiaries. Senator Ron Wyden released a statement in regards to the protests here and across the country. He says he wishes he could have been at the protest instead of in Washington, D.C., but he can feel and hear the people power at this rally and others like it today. Our Seattle sister station reached out to the Washington State Republican Party about these protests. Here's the response they received.
And in politics, there's a lot of theater, a lot of outrage, a lot of you shouldn't be doing this and we're going to stand up. It's like, okay, well, he is doing it and let's see what happens here. But the waste is real. The correction is needed. The debt is real.
That was Matthew Patrick Thomas from the Washington State Republican Party. He is one of the 168 members of the Republican National Committee. Locally, there have been cuts to programs that aim to help low-income families educate their kids. The Region 10 office of the Head Start program, which serves 33,000 families in Oregon, Washington, Alaska, and Idaho, is now closed. The program also helps women escape domestic violence and homeless families find shelter. Those working in classrooms say the human cost could be great.
If a family is worried about where they're going to get their next meal, or if they have a roof over their head, they're not going to be thinking, oh, does my child know the alphabet or numbers? No, they're in crisis mode.
The cuts to Head Start is part of the Trump administration's efforts to streamline government. The overall plan is to cut 10,000 workers from the Office of Health and Human Services. We've been covering demonstrations for weeks now, as well as the latest actions by the Trump administration. To find our previous coverage, just check out our website, kgw.com, or our YouTube channel. You can also watch through our streaming channel, KGW+. Well, tomorrow, Ukrainian Americans and their supporters are gathering in Washington, D.C. to advocate for the United States' continued support in its ongoing war with Russia. Ahead of that, we met with the heads of Oregon's delegation, who are also leaders of the Oregon-based nonprofit Dawn. They tell us they want to introduce themselves to the newer members of Congress and push them to take a more active role in foreign policy matters.
As far as how receptive they'll be, it remains to be seen. I think a lot of elected leaders give lip service to important causes, whether it's support for Ukraine or other things. And what the American people want right now is action, not just on this issue, but on a host of things.
The summit begins tomorrow. Well, turning now to weather, where we saw a beautiful day in the Portland area today. We went up to Washington Park, where people were enjoying the warm temps, the flowers, and just take a look at the fantastic views from up there. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is joining us now, and Joe, we have a very different outlook starting tomorrow.
We do. It was absolutely stunning from beginning to end earlier today. But you walk out there right now, temperatures are relatively comfortable, right around the upper 50s. But looking into tomorrow, our temperatures are going to be dropping pretty quick by nearly 20 degrees. In fact, we came close to tying a record of 77 degrees. The record was that was the record. We hit 75, and tomorrow we'll be looking at temperatures in the mid to the upper 50s. A few locations right around 60 degrees, but the showers will start to move in potentially as early as 7 o'clock. But I think between really 8 and 9 is that window where we'll start to see those rain showers move through. It's going to be wet conditions by midday, and heading into the later part of the afternoon, temperatures will be about 55 degrees, 56 degrees with anywhere from a quarter to a half of an inch of rain. And that includes the Oregon coast, where you start to see a little bit of some spotty showers right now. Nothing really starting to materialize just yet, but by tomorrow morning into the afternoon, it's definitely going to be moving through. Here's a look at the futurecast. We'll put this into motion by 8:15, 8:30. We'll start to see some rain showers move through, and by the early part of the afternoon, nothing but sheets of green throughout the coast, the valley, and the mountains. You shouldn't have any issues traveling over the Oregon Cascades, John, but it's going to be definitely off and on showers over the next few days. I'll have more specific details on that coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thank you. We'll see you later in the show. And we want to inform you of a traffic update that started today. Until Sunday, April the 20th, riders of the Max Red Line will be detoured around construction at PDX. As part of the Port of Portland's Phase 2 work at PDX, they're building more direct and efficient paths to the airport's Max station. TriMet says this will not have a significant impact on service. Rescuers pulled double duty yesterday on Mount St. Helens. Just after 11 Friday morning, the volcano rescue team was called to help a skier after they were severely cut by their ski edge while making a turn. After loading them onto a snowmobile, they were notified of a climber who needed help down the hill. Both people were taken down, with the skier being taken to the hospital.